Hello and welcome to Assume Control channel where I learn D&D and other things. Maybe some other tabletop RPGs in the future, but for now, D&D is a lot to learn. Um, Today, I just found out about something called Unearthed Arcana, which you see on the screen. I guess Wizards of the Coast puts out sort of like things that they're working on, things that they're thinking about. I don't know if this extends beyond subclasses, but in this case, it's a set of a few. I don't actually know how many. Oh, four. Boom, four subclasses themed around mystic subclasses. I don't know if all of these are themed. Let me know if that's the case, and also let me know if that means they'll be releasing like a new book that if these were to go through that would be like mystic based or whatever these subclasses are based around. I'm seeing monk and then spell casting, so maybe it's a campaign built around a lot of magic and casting and stuff like that. Just looking at the names, Spellguard, Magic Stealer, maybe that's the idea. But either way, I just wanted to give a beginner's view of this. I think it's kind of good to have input from a variety of individuals, both people who have played the game a substantial amount of time, but also people who maybe know a little bit less. Um, the goal I would think is that the intended play styles and play cycles, like the gameplay loop, is maybe pretty obvious. And then for the people who have been playing for a long time, they have the opportunity to maybe delve deeper and to find some of the more intricate ways to leverage some of these tools. So I guess we'll kind of just take a look. I did see that you can provide feedback. I don't know that I'd provide feedback because I don't know that I'd be able to actually play these in any meaningful sense. I could try out I have a few I picked up the other day, some solo adventures that are just kind of like levels 1 through 5 sort of things. And so maybe I could try that out with these guys and just see if like the low level stuff makes sense and if there's uh, enough interesting there from those first 5 levels that I would be interested in then taking one of these classes, subclasses further. But for now, I guess we'll just hop right in. Oh, okay. I guess it just starts. It's not like a page break. It just kind of goes right in. I'm kind of just reading over this little section over here on the left in gray. Might be more or less powerful if it survives. Funny word. Excuse me. All right. Well, first one up is Warrior of the Mystic Arts. So this is a monk, and I'm seeing spellcasting, which is pretty interesting. Uh, I feel like so I play a hunter ranger in my first campaign that I've started, and we're one session in. I might drop this video interspliced between a few of the other videos I've recorded. One of them being the first real session review, mistakes I've made and things like that. This mic is also different than what you'll hear in some of those other videos. I don't know if it's better or worse. I slightly adjusted my setup. But so I play a hunter ranger in that campaign, and then I will be playing a sort of sorcerer type character. I think I released the video already on my second character that I'm making, which is a sorcerer, but I may have slipped back a little bit in terms of what I wanted to do there. We'll see. I'll probably release a video about what the new character will be. This is the temptation of D&D, right? Is all the characters that you can possibly make. But spellcasting, kind of at a high level, I released that video about me trying to figure out how spellcasting works. Will be interesting to see how you're supposed to build this out because a monk. I mean, I guess I don't really know. I guess you could use a quarterstaff, and that way you can just like have one hand free technically. Because I think I was reading more in the rules to try to understand, and I think you can just hold the quarterstaff with one hand, or you need 2 hands to attack. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but so you get. I guess we'll read the flavor text up here. Weave martial and mystic arts. I guess off the bat, I think the term that people use is gish. I was reading some of the origin of that, but this is intended to be somebody who uses both, right? Warriors of the mystic arts wield magic to supplement their martial skill. They harness their supernatural focus to enhance their magical and physical abilities. So, interesting. So, just based off of the concept, right? And I guess we'll see whether the concept lines up with what they've actually introduced here. Their focus, so their key or their focus points, key is what it's called in Baldur's Gate 3, and I think what it was maybe previously called in D&D, to enhance their magical and physical abilities. So they kind of already enhance their physical abilities just as a monk, right? That's how they use their focus points, is to enhance their physical abilities. But I guess we'll see how that interplays here. So you get spell casting. I don't know what the progression is going to look like. I guess we'll see. Oh, there's a box right there. Blind. Pardon me. So pretty slow. Level 20, you have one. Am I reading this right? You get one level 4 spell slot all the way at 20. Wow. Okay, so across all your levels at level 20, you'll have 11 spell slots. And if I look at like level 10-ish play, you'll never break 10 to 13. Maybe if you reach 13, I think this is more the range of where most people end up playing, based on my understanding. You might reach level 3, but for the most part, you'll likely be in this 1 to 2 range. So definitely more focused on using your spell slots to support your monk abilities, it feels like, off the bat. So it kind of feels a little bit reverse, but I guess we'll see if maybe you can like juice up the benefits and value you get out of these 1 and 2 spell slots. I guess we'll scroll down. Okay. So you get 3. Most of this stuff I'm not really going to look at because I don't totally know, but you get spells. Spellcasting ability, wisdom, yeah. Focus, you can use an arcane focus as a focus. Huh. So you need to have a weapon and an arcane focus? Interesting. Okay. So that's what you get at level 3. Am I understanding that? And you don't get anything else until level 6. Wow, that's a pretty big jump. Let's see, level 6. So before level 6, level 5, you'll have 3 level 1 spell slots, and then 6 even just has 3. So you don't even have second level slots quite yet at 6. Okay. Interesting. I don't know if this stuff at level 3 is interesting enough for those levels, but maybe it is. Maybe I just need to see what that list looks like. Oh, sorcerer. Okay, sorcerer. So I guess you get sorcerer stuff. Oh wow, I've been recently looking at that stuff. So interesting. Yeah, shield as a defensive option. Which, I mean, you've got so many level 1 slots that you're not really looking for damage. I'd imagine through this, you're looking to just augment what you would do as a monk, but you don't get any of the cool other monk stuff like the open hand or anything like that. So interesting. Let's see, level 6. So you're waiting until level 6 to get your next thing. You do get a lot of cool stuff just as like the monk in terms of like the actual class features. So that's something to look forward to, I guess. But so you'll have extra attack at this level. You keep your magical power, which is not very good, and martial focus in perfect balance. So not your martial power, but your martial focus. Okay, allowing you to convert spell slots into focus points, or focus points into spell slots. Huh. Interesting. I wish. I guess I'll keep reading here. Expend a spell slot to regain a number of expended focus points. And here's like the conversion. So to get a level 1 spell slot, you'll need to spend 2 focus points, which means, and I think Flurry of Blows costs 1. Is it cost 1? I forget. I think it only costs 1. So that means you're sacrificing 2 turns of flurry of blows to get 1 level 1 spell slot, and you don't have any of the stuff from like the other subclasses, so you'd be relying on what, like your weapon attack, a bonus action, unarmed attack. So 3 attacks. So your attack, extra attack, and then bonus action, just 1 unarmed attack. So you're sacrificing 2 attacks to get back a spell slot. Obviously, this is very situational. This is sort of just like you can do this, and then you can go the other way around. Does that mean you get 2 focus points when you converting spell slots equal to the slot's level? Oh, so the other way you only get 1 back. Huh. Well, that seems a little bit interesting. So you would have to spend 2 focus points to get 1 spell slot back, but then 1 spell slot extinguished only gives you 1 focus point. Okay. Very situational. I feel like that's interesting. And that doesn't require an action, so you can still like use the focus point in the moment. But for getting a spell slot, you do need to burn a bonus action. Okay. Oh, there's another level 6 thing, so I guess we'll keep this in mind here. When you take the attack action, you can replace one of the attacks with a casting of one of your sorcerer cantrips. It has to have a casting time of an action. Obviously, I'd have to look. The 2 that they recommend here are Blade Ward and Thunderclap. I suppose this is useful for getting something up like Blade Ward and then just focusing on that for your concentration. I don't know, other than casting like some sort of CC from the sorcerer list. I don't know that you'd be focusing on too much. So could be an easy way to get your defenses up, or to apply CC, and then I guess you can, because I'm trying to think, if you're attacking, which means you're in melee, there's not many. I think most, like any ranged thing, if you're in melee, you'd have disadvantage, right? So unless your cantrip is like one of those, like in Baldur's Gate, there's like the shocking grasp, things like that. Um, I'd imagine that a lot of them are not usable in melee, unless the attack action counts. Well, no, you need to replace. So yeah, you would need the extra attack, and you would need. I mean, ideally, I guess you can just attack and then use a cantrip, but that wouldn't make any sense. You would just cast the cantrip, right? If you only had 1 attack. But okay, so through level 6, you have 3 level 1 spell slots. Maybe I would look to use shield on like the first turn or something to stay healthy, and then honestly, I might just be pumping my own key points with my spell slots, and just combined with the metabolism thing, where you can, once during like initiative rolling, you can recover your spell slot, your key, or what are they called now? Focus points. And then also you get them back on a short rest. So I mean, with this conversion, you could just be constantly using your key points. Man, it is hard to say focus points after playing Baldur's Gate for so long. Yeah, I don't know. I guess getting all the way to level 6, I feel a little underwhelmed, maybe. Just on first glance, this enhancing their magical and physical abilities. I'm not seeing anything enhancing of their physical abilities, just that they could convert their focus points to just do physical abilities. It would have been interesting if, like, depending on which way you were converting, maybe you did bonus damage. So it's like, if you convert a spell slot into, maybe instead of converting, maybe it's like you choose a spell, you cast it as though, onto your fist or something, or onto your weapon, and then you do some bonus damage and gain the focus points on your next weapon attack or something, right? Like maybe you're casting like a fireball, I'm just naming a random thing, and then you get your 1 focus point back from like whatever I guess fireball's a cantrip, or firebolt, or whatever. You get what I mean, right? Empowering going one way or the other. Maybe you get a bonus to your attack, your magic attack, if you burn focus points, because now you're like locked in and you're focused on hitting this ranged spell. I feel like there could be something there where you get a little bit of a bonus going both ways. I don't know that that'd be overpowered or not, but this just doesn't seem super strong and very engaging, especially getting level 6. And then level 11 is the next one. Whenever you expend centered focus, I should be saying these out loud, centered focus. Whenever you expend a focus point to use Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, or Step of the Wind, you have advantage on any saving throw you make to maintain concentration. Okay, I mean that's pretty cool. Or that's good. I mean, I guess that means you're not taking like any of the feats that would give you. I think is there only one feat that gives you advantage? Is that Warcaster? Um, which I was reading Warcaster. That seems to help some of the issues on spell casting. But hopefully I didn't move my mic there. Warcaster sounds like it would be useful though, because like imagine you go dual wield on this guy, and then you would need Warcaster, right, for that secondary effect of managing the somatic component. I feel like I'm like kind of learning, but I'm also just saying words. um, so maybe this overlaps with that. Maybe there could have been something else. I mean, I guess that frees up a feat, but again, that secondary part of the feat is kind of important, right? Um, this video, I think, is coming out after that learning how to spellcast, but I haven't looked at the if there were any comments or anything. So we'll see on that one. And then level 17. So if you make it all the way to 17, you get to just improve your Mystic Fighting style. You don't perfect anything all the way on your max level. You just slightly improved it. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace 2 of the attacks with a casting of one of your level 1 or 2 sorcerer spells that has a. Huh? Oh, so it's like, oh, okay, so you have extra attack, and then when you attack, you would you would have 2 attacks. Oh no, wait. And the attack action, you only have 1 attack. How does that work actually? Would you need to be 2 weapon fighting for this? So like with a nick weapon, so then it becomes 2 attacks as a part of your action, and then you can replace both of them with a cantrip because you can do that here, and then, or is this saying I have to replace both the attacks with just a cast, with one single cast? Because isn't that just that's just casting it, right? I can just choose to take the magic action instead of the attack action. Huh. Okay, so this clearly needs to be reworded or whatever. Face value, this doesn't feel like it's really doing what this flavor text is saying. I feel like you're not enhancing anything. You're giving things that let you just do each of them, but like weaker. Like you sacrifice a level 1 spell slot to then just get 1 focus point. You have to spend 2 to get a level 1. I suppose you could be kind of tanky, right? You'd have shield. Maybe you just frontline and you control. Maybe there's like a control monk, and you funnel key or focus points into your spells to maintain control and to stay defensive and all that sort of thing. Maybe I don't know. Doesn't seem cool or inspiring particularly, or at least in the way that it was described here, where you're weaving them, right? It feels like you're kind of doing one or the other. You're not kind of like benefiting each side, I guess. Okay, well that's a little underwhelming on the first one. Let's see how the next one goes. One moment, let me clear my throat here. Okay, pardon me. I had some food before this to stock up on energy to go through all of these. I don't know how to do timestamps, but I'm going to try and figure it out so that way, if there's a particular, maybe I should have said this at the start, if there's a particular class that you're interested in looking at from a beginner's point of view, hopefully there's timestamps at some point once I figure out how to do that. Might not be immediately when this video comes out. I'll need to figure that out. But next one up, we've got the Oath of the Spellguard Paladin. Now, I haven't made a paladin yet, but I might be converting that sorcerer artificer from my other video for my second campaign into a sorcerer paladin. I'll make a video on that soon. Paladins seem pretty cool. I'm gonna be honest; they seem to have a lot of tools, a lot of diversity with what they can do with their actions, and they have some pretty cool, flavorful subclasses. I feel like. So I have big expectations on the Paladin. I haven't even looked at any of the older content books for what Paladins used to have, what other subclasses. I think someone mentioned to me that they changed a little bit about how the oaths work, and so now you get them at level 3, like the other classes get their subclasses at. So probably a little bit hard to use the old ones without some finagling, but I guess we'll take a look here. Protect your allies from villainous magic. Villainous magic. Oh. Paladins who take the oath of the Spellguard are sworn to battle those who use magic to harm others. Seems to be like most people. They often only magic users apparently. They're okay with people using swords to harm others and like bows and maybe like throwing rocks, but using magic to harm people, that's where these paladins draw the line. They often serve as bodyguards to upstanding mages. Interesting. This is like very hyper specific. um, if I think of like Oath of Vengeance or Oath of the Ancients, Oath of Glory, these are very like more broad strokes of a paintbrush where you can you could just make one of those into one of these in the flavor sense. This seems very weirdly specific. Like you have to be somebody who does not like mages who harm others, and you happen to be somebody who served a bodyguard to a mage. But interesting. But their most important role is protecting allies from devastating magical attacks. Those who swear this oath ensure that villains. Gosh, I need to work on my reading skills. I read a lot too. Villains who misuse magic are brought to justice. These paladins share the following tenets: protect the innocent from wicked mages, again, very hyper specific. Prevent magic from falling into villains' hands. Protect mages who use magic honorably. Yeah, so far I gotta say that I feel like this is like pigeonholing who you can be as a character. Obviously, you can just do whatever you want and like reflavor all of this, but just at like a base level, it's not giving you a lot of flexibility for the type of person you can maybe be if you wanted to really stick to this uh, intent and the subclass sort of text here. Doesn't sound very cool. I'll be honest. Wicked mages. It's like I think most people want to do this, and then it's just kind of ironic. Like again, the specificity of like mages and magic and things like that. But hey, maybe somebody out there likes it. Let's see what it does. Level 3, Guardian Bond. It's a magic action. You can expend one use of your channel divinity. Oh yeah, okay. So this is your channel divinity thingy to forge a divine bond with a willing creature 5 feet of yourself. Man, they gotta be right next to you. The bond lasts for 1 hour, or yeah, until you're unconscious for the duration, while it's within your reach. Okay, and is hit by an attack roll. You can take a reaction to add your charisma to the creature's AC, possibly causing the attack to miss. End the bond at any time. If you forge a new one, the prior one ends. Huh. Okay. So they have to be within 5 feet of you just to start. But if you use like a halberd, what if you were like yeah, I mean I guess you would use like a halberd or some sort of like long reach weapon that increases your reach. Because then that kind of gives you a little bit more wiggle room on this secondary part. Because I mean you wouldn't be using this on like a cat friendly, this says that you want to protect the mages, but in reality, you're protecting the other fighter or barbarian that's next to you in the front lines. Unless you're falling back from the front lines and letting somebody else be kind of absorbing all the damage and maybe helping your friendly folks in the back doing damage, peeling back and seeing if you can assist them. But Interesting. You have to use your channel divinity for this, right? This is your channel divinity thing. So this isn't something where you're like, maybe you cast it on a frontliner and then you see somebody dive your back line and then you peel back and then you move your bond to the new target. That doesn't work. So yeah, you're kind of committed whether you're staying back with the people or you're hanging out with the other melee, which are not mages, you know. So thematically, you're kind of breaking off there, but hey, maybe you're attacking mages, which also would mean you're breaking this guardian bond because likely you'd have to dive pretty deep, and depending on what you're trying to do, maybe you're if you, I mean, it's your turn, right? You move away. That's kind of it. So but seems interesting as long as you and your tag team partner stick side by side. The other level 3 thing, Oath of the Spellguard spells. So here's your spell list. Um, looks quite magically inclined. I mean, there are magic spells, but detect magic, shield is like a defensive thing. See invisibility, countering mages who try to sneak away, crawl away. Silence, that's pretty cool. Thematic, your hunting caster, counter spell magic. Yeah, I mean, all of this makes sense. I'm not even going to look anything really down here because I don't know that I really get to those levels. Maybe once I learn more about the game, maybe I'll try to seek out a game that's like a level 15 one shot or something and completely confuse myself because there's so many things to do at that level. And then you get Spellguard Strike, also at level 3. When you see a creature within your reach, again, your reach, casting a spell with any type of verbal, somatic, or material components, you can take a reaction to make a melee attack with a weapon or an. Oh, okay. I like this flavoring. Now, this feels kind of like you are diving the back line. Um, and if you can position yourself in a way with a weapon with longer reach, where maybe you're kind of between some casters, then this is pretty cool. This is using your reaction, so no shield, um, no guardian bond, but you would be probably diving in pretty deep into the back line, so this would probably not even be active, or if it was, it's been deactivated by diving in. But this is pretty cool. I wonder if there's a way to increase your reach in this game. I don't know if there's a feat. I'm sure there's maybe there's like certain species that you can be where you have a higher baseline reach and then you stack that with halberd, a glaive, or whatever. That's kind of cool. Maybe less cool. I mean, you could still do this obviously with like maybe like a dual wield uh dex based paladin who dives the back line and eliminates uh any enemy mages and stuff like that. I'm also realizing now, maybe less so for the monk. Obviously, this one in particular definitely depends on the campaign level and obviously the setting. Um, like in my first campaign that I'm in with my ranger, we're level 3, right? We just started. We just had our first real session. There were no casters, and even in our session 0, I suppose the main boss guy had a frontal, but other than that, it was bites and claws. So even at lower levels, you're likely going to fight lower level creatures, and lower level creatures don't have like crazy magical abilities. I don't think so. It is interesting and definitely probably context specific. Could be useful. I mean, these are useful spells, especially as the game progresses, probably. Let's see what level 7 brings us. Your aura of protection fosters mental focus. You and your allies have advantage on Constitution saving throws. Wow, there's a lot of advantage on Constitution saving throws. I mean, here's centered focus level 11. You're getting advantage at level 7, huh? And you're giving it to everybody. And you have to expend a focus point here for the monk. Maybe this is just weak. I mean, you're obviously going to be doing that anyways as a part of you just doing stuff. But it is funny that it comes at a level 11 and requires one of your resources. And you only get it on the next. Oh wait, you have advantage in throw. You make 2 main conjuration until. Oh no, okay. So you get it permanently, but just until your next turn. But yeah, level 11 versus level 7, and you give it to everybody. Now it is in your aura. I don't know how big the aura is. I forget how big it is. I again haven't played Paladin, so. But if I guess like I don't know, 30 feet, I'm not actually sure. That seems maybe reasonable for an aura. That's pretty good. Your friends can kite around that space. You can position yourself in such a way that gives them a way to maybe end their turn in that space. But you know, that's pretty dang good for level 7. Um, Level 15, Spell Breaking Blade. What if I use them all? Immediately after, you hit a creature with your Spellguard Strike, which is this guy down here. So you got a reaction because somebody tried to cast something. You can cast Counterspell as a part of the same reaction. Oh yeah, I guess I never thought about that. The spell still kind of goes off down here, huh? But at level 15, you can do it as a part of the same reaction. When you cast Counterspell with a spell slot, that slot isn't expended if the spell slot fails to stop a spell. Oh man, that's a tongue twister right there. Say that sentence 5 times fast. Okay. And that's just in general. This isn't like only as a part of this reaction. Just whenever you cast Counterspell with the spell slot, that slot isn't okay. That's probably good because I guess you could have crafted a bunch of scrolls or something. I'm starting to learn about scrolls and scribing. And there's a lot to this game. And that slot isn't expended if it fails. So you can just get free. You can just toss it out, regardless of what's happening. You see a spell happening, toss it out. It's you're not too worried if it fails. This is pretty sweet. Now you are waiting until level 15 for this, but this is about probably again I have no idea what I'm talking about. But level 15, surely you're fighting like some pretty powerful things at this point, and some of those powerful things are likely casters. So if you can get in there and really get this thing rolling right here, um, that's pretty awesome. Level 20. I mean, I'm never gonna get to this, but oh wait a minute. There's no level 20 thing here. This improved, not perfected, not mastered, not deadly. You're improved Mystic Fighting style. They need to clarify the wording on this. Seems bleh. Level 20, let's see. Eternal Spellguard. As a bonus action, you can empower your aura of protection. Oh yeah, you still get aura of protection, don't you? Granting the benefits below for 1 minute or until you end them. Okay, so you get all of them. Once used, this feature long rest. Or you can restore it using a level 5 spell slot. Okay. So you get all of these. Aura of protection. You empower the aura, so this is still within your aura. Bodyguard, while the target of your guardian bond is in the aura. Resistance to all damage. I mean, this is if you and a barbarian. I mean, I guess a barbarian has resistance to have. If you and a fighter are in the mix, man, I mean that guy's not gonna die. Protection from magic. You and your allies in the aura have advantage on saving throws against spells, just flat out. I mean, this is interesting because, I mean, I was speaking as though you were diving the backline, right? Trying to get this off, trying to get on their spellcasters who are hiding behind their front line and getting the Spellguard Strike and the Spell Breaking Blade triggers here. Getting these activated, really punishing those spellcasters for trying to do things. But now it's like, stay in my aura. Let's lock down an area. You won't take any damage. I mean, I can add a C every turn. I mean, I guess this is a reaction. Oops. Goodness. I don't know what's happening. So you have kind of like two different play styles here potentially that you can kind of play this out as. Because obviously, like you are gaining the benefit of this as well. Spell Ward, the last benefit. Spell attack rolls against you and your allies have disadvantage. Okay, so you have advantage on any saving throw type spells, and your enemies have disadvantage on spell attacks against you. I feel like maybe these two things are kind of in contention. Not these two things. Meaning like you play, I feel like maybe very differently at level 20 than you might have the preceding 15 levels. This is just again my initial gut reaction. I don't know anything. Because it feels like up, through level 15, especially at 15, you're really rewarded for this guardian bond is really hard to maintain, right? Maybe I would save this for diving back to my friends and allies in the back line and making sure they stay alive through the end of a fight, or something like that. But through level 15, you've got freedom of movement. I don't know what that does, but that sounds like movement. You've got silence, shield, see invisibility. You can start running into their backline, drop a silence to maybe force them to move towards you or towards an area of the map that is not as forgiving for them to move into. So, if they're forced to that spot, you can corner them. You get on top of them. You have the Spellguard strike, spell breaking blade, and you just punish spellcasters for trying to do anything to you. I guess you can still do that at level 20, and you just have crazy protection from magic while you're doing it, and then maybe you drop back. Um, After eliminating them, you drop back, and then you play bodyguard and you cast guardian bond and stuff, and make sure your allies live through the remaining of the fight or something. It does sound kind of cool. That is an interesting play style. That sounds pretty fun, very dynamic, making use of the battlefield and having some control and the ability to survive diving into enemies. Now, you obviously have to worry about physical damage dealers still. You don't have a lot. You have shield to help out there, and your paladin, so you have heavy armor or whatever it is you're doing. Maybe you're going the dex based. In which case you have still a pretty high armor class. Probably maybe you're wearing like serpent scale mail like my hunter is doing, and you're gaining full dex benefits. This seems kind of cool. This is triggering. See how much I'm talking about it. See how much I'm like talking about the play style. I'm got ideas rolling, right? Even as a beginner, I'm like, oh my god, there's like so much clearly here to chew on. Oh man, this monk thing did not. I mean, just from the reaction, just I feel like it's pretty clear what is appealing to me as a beginner. What's appealing to my. I was a. I'm a data analyst in terms of work stuff, and so this has really got my brain going here. So I'm not rating any of these, but this one seems pretty awesome. Seems like a lot of cool things to work with here. I would probably reflavor a lot of this, but I like the actual mechanical bits and bobs. Awesome. I guess we'll move on to the next guy here. Scroll down. I'm kind of doing this all in one shot right now. So pardon my voice if it gets a little dry at some points. I'm trying to keep it hydrated here. Don't know how to really edit videos. So if you've noticed, all my videos have just been sort of one-shot rambles. Maybe at some point I'll figure out how to edit correctly. But moving on, subclass number 3 of the Mystic subclasses Unearthed Arcana, Magic Stealer Rogue. This sounds super flavorful. I think, it's funny, I never used the word flavor in this context before D&D, and now I feel like I constantly say the word flavor. But this seems really cool. Steal magical power to empower yourself. Okay, I hope I'm not getting baited like I am with the monk, where the monk said that you are empowering your mystical and martial abilities or whatever. Admittedly, well, I mean, duh. I'm only going to be in 2 campaigns. I have not played the vast majority of classes and some classes, and I'm sort of ignoring my Baldur's Gate 3 experience because there are a lot of things that are different, and not every class and subclass was ported over, right? So I'm kind of putting that on pause mentally and just sort of taking it for what it is. But this sounds pretty cool for a rogue. Now there is There's an arcane trickster rogue in one of my campaigns. He casts spells and stuff, so I'll be curious to see how this differentiates itself from the arcane trickster. My mental imagery right now, before I read all of this, arcane trickster maybe uses magic more in a conniving way, right, to confuse, trick enemies, and then get behind them and then stab them, or do whatever, steal their treasure, whatever it is. Magic Stealer maybe does something a little different, and obviously all of these are themed around anti magic. Maybe all of them. The monk definitely, I feel like, didn't really have much of a theme, to be honest. I'm sure there's some convoluted build that you can do that's like multi-classed and makes it kind of crazy or something. But Magic Stealer Rogue, let's see what this one's got. While ordinary thieves are cutting purses and burglaring homes, a Magic Stealer is after a much more valuable prize, magic. The Magic Stealer preys on spellcasters. Okay, so you've got paladins that are preying on spellcasters and rogues that do. Um, Repurposing their magic and eluding divination spells to take magical power at the point of a knife. Interesting. Interesting. Sounds cool. Sounds interesting. Let's take a look. Level 3, Empower Sneak Attack. I think you get Sneak Attack at level 1. And then at level 2, I think you get like the Cunning actions, from what I remember reading. And that's also Baldur's Gate 3, but again, I'm trying to ignore that. Empower Sneak Attack, level 3. Immediately after a creature you can see within 30 feet of you casts a level 1 plus spell, you can take a reaction to absorb magical energy from the spell. A creature you see. So enemies and allies. And you have to use your reaction. When you do so, until the end of your next turn, the next time you hit with your sneak attack, you deal extra force damage. To determine the extra damage, roll a number of d6s equal to the spell's level and add them together. Take this reaction a number of times equal to your Intelligente modifier, minimum of once. You regain all extended uses when you finish a long rest. Okay, so wow. One thing that I vaguely know about rogues is that a lot of rogue builds are centered around maximizing sneak attack damage. And unlike what my brain that was new to D&D, how I processed that sort of phrase the first time was like, oh, okay, so you have like a really big turn, an explosive turn, and you're committing resources into that one turn. Not quite. The reality is that these rogues do this through manipulating off turn attacks. Sneak attack applies once per turn. And so you do your regular attack and you apply sneak attack. And then somehow, through some mechanical means or class feature or whatever, a feat, or maybe an ally helps you, you get to attack at some point during somebody else's turn, whether that's an enemy or an ally's turn. And because it's not your turn anymore, you can apply sneak attack again. And so a lot of what rogues do are built around taking your turn, applying sneak attack, and then leveraging a reaction or something to get in a turn when it's not your turn, basically. One of the ways is to I think I remember seeing a pretty cool idea where you're a cleric rogue and you have the war domain, and you use that bonus action attack during your turn. You apply sneak attack, then you use your action to ready a reaction on an enemy's turn. And so that way you're triggering 2 attacks over the course of the round, basically, but on 2 different turns. I would prefer things like this, what Empower Sneak Attack is doing as a new beginner. That interaction, I don't think I would have ever figured out, or maybe it would have been a long time, doing this like convoluted off turn thing. And it's just a little bit weird and it feels metagamey, where it's like, I guess you can thematically make it as like you're a rogue, you hit for the weak spot, and then you like go into a defensive stance ready to parry and strike when the enemy makes a mistake or something. But it is a little bit convoluted, and so I like stuff like this where you're using your reaction It would have been interesting if you could have reduced the damage, maybe, or I guess it's because it's enemy or ally. There's no, you can't really do that, I guess. But you get bonus damage on your turn, um, which is cool. And if maybe you can go after. Maybe if you have alert, you can swap positions with like your caster on your team, and you go, "Hey, launch a big one on your turn, and then I will follow up, and maybe we'll be able to just two turn this enemy, wipe him out." But this is pretty cool. Since it can be any creature, at least that means you can work with your allies to kind of figure stuff out. So there's some cool stuff there. Obviously, you're limited to how often you can do this, so use them wisely. The other level 3 feature. How come all these guys get some cool multiple level 3 features, and then monks get spell casting, and then that's it for up until level 6? Because you only have level 1 spell slots up until then. Oh man. Okay. Anyways, I don't know how monks work. Is that good or bad? Oh, warlock is there. Oops, going too far. I'm spoiling myself. Level 3 magic, or drain magic, not magic drain. Drain magic. You can drain power from ongoing spells to recharge your allies' magic. As a magic action, you can touch a willing creature and end one ongoing level 1 or level 2 spell on it. The creature immediately recovers one expended spell slot of level 2 or lower, target's choice. This is once per short or long rest. Huh. Okay, so again, specifying that you just can remove any ongoing spell. Doesn't have to be an enemy effect. It can be an ally's buff. I suppose. Huh. So I guess you could potentially, because I'm trying to think of how you would do, because this is using your action, right? So ideally, you would be able to do this in a way where you're not, sacrificing that action in combat. You see where I'm going with this? So maybe an ally cast Bless or Shield of Faith or whatever. I guess Bless, because that would be on everybody. So then I could walk up to the cleric or whatever. I can walk up to that person and the Bless buff on themselves, and then they get it back as a spell slot. I can do that once per short rest. So that's pretty cool. You get like a free thingy, or level 2. I don't. I guess it would need to be more. Um, and of course, you can do this to an enemy's ongoing effect. So if someone's casted like sleep maybe or something, or I don't know, some sort of crowd control on an ally, I can just walk up and cleanse it. Now, ideally, you'd be giving somebody that cleanse with a spell slot, but even if you're having to do it to a fighter or a barbarian, it is useful to just cleanse, right? This is just a full cleanse to remove any level 1 or 2 spell effect. So that's kind of cool. And again, you're getting this alongside the other effects, so you have some things to kind of decide, in each combat. Ooh, wait until level 9. I mean, rogues gets stuff and things in between, right? Hopefully. Okay, so wait until level 9 for magical sabotage. You gain the following cunning strike options. Okay, so cunning strike is the thing where it's like you could poison or trip them or something, right? If you sacrifice d6s on your sneak attack. So we have well, 3 new options. Spell susceptibility. It costs 2d6s. The target has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes against a spell until the start of your next turn. Again, cool to maybe combo with one of your allies. You are sacrificing 2d6, so it better be good. I do find it weird, the interaction of like, and I ran into this when I was maybe trying to homebrew something for my Paladin Sorcerer. I ran into this issue where triggering this saving throw debuff on enemies that you hit is because this is a saving throw, which means the spell that gets casted next to them can't be an attack roll, a spell attack roll. So you have to kind of balance it. And then most of the saving throw spells, I think there's, I don't know, all of them. There's just too many spells, man. But in my head, the way I think about it is saving throws most of the time are like CCs or debuffs that don't do damage maybe immediately, or they just hard CC the target if they fail. So hitting a target and then CCing them is a little bit weird. Hitting them, sacrificing your sneak attack damage, and then dealing slow damage to them is also a little bit weird. I would rather do that damage up front and then maybe have that caster just try and kill them that turn or something, you know? So there's a little bit of weirdness there. Maybe there's gameplay loops I'm not aware of quite yet, where this makes a lot more sense. But next option, Disrupt Spell. Cost 3d6s. That's a lot. Now we're getting up there. The target's magical acuity is disrupted until the start of your next turn. Whenever the target casts a spell during that time, it must succeed on an intelligence saving throw, or the spell dissipates with no effect. And the action, bonus action, or reaction used to cast it was wasted, as well as the spell slide. Huh. Okay. So if you get to the back line, stab up a wizard until the next, basically until your next turn. It has to clear this additional saving throw. And if they fail it, then they just kind of waste that action. They keep their spell slot. That's interesting. I guess this would be mostly used for like a really high dangerous priority target that can cast fight altering spells, and you just like stab them. If they can't be CC'd up until then, you at least stab them. There isn't a saving throw to apply this, which is cool. So they just have this, and then they have to clear, this intelligence saving throw, and then whatever they're casting, if it does succeed, you roll your own saving throw or whatever. So this could be used pretty good. I wouldn't use this probably on like a weenie or like a regular, scary guy, because I'd probably just try to kill them with the 3d6s. But that's a cool option to have in the pocket in case there's a really, really dangerous spellcaster on the field. Last option here, Steel Resistance. This one is a 2d6 cost. Choose one kind of damage. If the target has resistance to that kind of damage, until the start of your next turn, the target loses that resistance, and you gain resistance to that damage type. So that's kind of cool. Can help out your fellow casters if they're like a thematic fire wielding mage, or maybe their hardest hitting thing is lightning or whatever. You can kind of sap their resistance, and then you yourself gain that resistance. So probably multiple enemies with that shared damage type potentially. So you can kind of steal yourself, although you probably want to hide. But it is good to just have it and sap that resistance. Very situational, but hey, they're tools, right? All of these Cunning Strike options are tools in the tool bag. These are all pretty thematic here. Sapping magic, disrupting an enemy's ability to cast, things like that. So that's pretty cool. Level 13, Occult Shroud. Swig of water there. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can cast the non-detection spell using intelligence as your spellcasting ability. When you do so, you can target only yourself, and the duration increases to 24 hours. Ha! They assume I know what non-detection spell even is. I'll have to look that up later. Don't know what that... I guess I can pull it up maybe on my phone. Here, let's see if I can... D&D. Non-detection spell. All right, let's take a look. We're doing this live here because I have no idea what this does. Okay, dismiss cookies. Okay, so we've got, it's a 3rd level spell. So, oh wait, this says legacy. Oh gosh, maybe it's the same. Oh goodness. Well, let's assume it's kind of the same. Casting time of an action, range is touched, which is why it says you can only target yourself. The target can't be targeted by any divination magic or perceived through magical scrying. Okay. This is very I don't know how often enemies scry you or try to see what you're doing. This is very probably campaign dependent. Obviously, you just sort of chain these back to back, so you're perpetually somebody who's immune to these effects. How does it work if you're standing next to somebody who can be scryed? Can they just see you through them? Huh. Well, don't know how that spell necessarily works in context, so maybe this is cool, maybe this isn't. At the very least, you can go on solo missions, maybe, as a rogue and try and infiltrate and not be spotted in these sort of magical ways. Level 13, Improved Drain Magic. You can now use Drain Magic as a bonus action. It's over here. I see. In addition, when you use Drain Magic, you can end one ongoing level 1, level 2, level 3 spell, and up to level 3 spell slot. I am a fan of kind of these like see level 13, that seems like improved, right? Level 17 sounds like you probably are doing more than improving your mystic might up at the monk, you know. Oh well. This is cool. Now it's up to level 3. Gives you a little bit more of expanded, level 13, people are doing some stuff, people and things. And you can recover a level 3 spell slot. That's kind of cool. And you can do it as a bonus action now, which means you can still attack, apply sneak attack, all that shebang. That's pretty sweet. Level 17, Eldritch Implosion. Wow. Busting out the Eldritch word. Okay, let's see. I mean, this sounds sick. Even Eternal Spellguard. That sounds sick. Improved Mystic Fighting Style. I mean, come on. You guys see, I'm beating a dead horse here, but level 17. When you use Empower Sneak Attack, okay, that's our guy over here, level 3. You can force the target to make a Constitution saving throw, DC 8 plus your Dex and Proficiency bonus. On a failed save, the spell dissipates with no effect, and the target has the stunned condition until the start of its next turn. Oh. Wait. Oh, interesting. So this gets you. So this gives you reason to do this on an enemy first off, rather than leveraging this to maybe snipe an ally to get a buff to your own turn. This does mean okay, within 30 feet. Okay, so you need to be kind of close to this person who's casting the spell, but the spell dissipates. DC 8 plus your Dex modifier. Are you pumping Dex in this? Probably. And then maybe you're using, although you get the number of times as a part of your int modifier. So let's say +4. I mean, you probably have +5 at this point. But let's say +4 from Dex. I don't know what your proficiency bonus is at 17. Oh gosh. Let's say, oh god, oh goodness, this is where my newbiness is showing. Let's look it up again. D&D proficiency bonus table. Oh goodness. Okay, level 17, player level +6. Does that sound right to people? So 6 from that, 4 from Dex, and 18, a DC 18 at worst. That's, I mean, it is a con saving throw. So I think my understanding is that monsters will probably have pretty good con, right? So it's not guaranteed, right? And that's pretty cool. It's just an extra benefit to doing this to an enemy, and a big payoff, I'm assuming, right? Stun sounds bad. Stun sounds like until the start of his next turn. So basically it loses that turn that it is currently on, is stunned. Does that mean people have advantage against it with attacks? Interesting. I mean, this seems pretty cool, very flavorful. You do cool stuff, right? You do the thing that it says here, right? You're going in, you're disrupting spellcasters, you're stealing powers, you're replenishing allies, giving back magic, translating magic into power. You're non-detectable by divination magic, and I mean you're wreaking havoc on casters. Like that is pretty cool. You can play this super technically in a combat. I can see being very tactical, being very precise with your positioning for this 30 feet thing, positioning yourself on the battlefield where you can just have the most chaotic influence on a battle. Man, really, it sounds really cool. Paladin and Rogue really impressing me here. Um, man, I gotta go back and look at this monk. It just does not seem. This does not seem like the sauce, man. I don't know much, but this does not have me as a beginner excited. There's probably something in here where they have to be careful maybe with multi-classing, but they're just giving the good stuff to the Paladin and the Rogue here, and it seems really awesome. Okay, last one. Take a drink of water here. Vestige Patron, the Warlock. Now, I don't know a thing about Warlocks, let me tell you. I know Eldritch Blast and Pact of the Blade because um, that's all I know. So this will probably be pretty light. I see there's a companion. Do I want to review this? I don't know if I'll ever play a Warlock. I mean, never say never, but we'll probably speed right through this because this video is getting very long, and I don't know who in the world is watching a 1 hour long video of somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about D&D review things that aren't even in the game yet. But hey, maybe you want that perspective, that the fresh eyes, right? Wield the remnants of a dying god's power. I mean, that sounds sick, honestly. Uh, that right there maybe makes you want to play this. That sounds like you've got quests. That sounds like you are on a journey. That sounds like there's a lot of stuff to be learned about the god and why it's dying and what you're going to do about it. Your pack draws on the power of a dying god. Okay, thanks for repeating that. A being once worshipped by countless followers, but now abandoned and forgotten. This dying god, known as a vestige, might have been benevolent, evil, or strange and unknowable, but now it is driven to regain its former power. The vestige needs your help. It is willing to share its remaining strength with you. Nice. So you've got. Well, thanks for sharing your dying body's power, man. Or woman, or thing. I guess it's a god. Who cares? That's pretty cool, though. I mean, there's a lot narratively. I mean, off the bat, you don't even really have to say much. It's like there's so much that you got to do probably in game to play this, which is pretty awesome, honestly. Let's take a look. Vestige Companion, level 3. Manifests, aiding you. You get a stat block. You can choose what it is. Celestial, Fiend, or Undead. You determine what it looks like. Blah, blah, blah. It's friendly to you and your allies. Vanishes if you die. In combat, the vestige acts during your turn. It can move and use anything done, but it can only take. Oh, okay, so this sounds like the Beastmaster Hunter bonus action to command it. This feels maybe better as a warlock. I don't know how many bonus action spells warlocks have. There's a number of them for rangers, and that's what made me kind of get turned off by the Beastmaster. Was the idea that like my bonus action was just constantly clogged, and I was thinking about going the dual wielder feat to have more attacks and have some consistent resource for damage. But obviously, you can't do that with the Beastmaster because your bonus action is gone. So, it is what it is. Yeah, you can sacrifice one of your attacks as well to give it the attack action. And then for some reason, if you're incapacitated, it somehow gains the ability to control itself. So weird. I don't understand this mentally. It's like one of those mental hoops where it's just like, oh, for balancing sake, I'm assuming it is incapable of its own thought when you're doing things, but then suddenly gains the ability once you're incapacitated. And then yeah, I'm assuming you can just bring it back. Yeah, I mean, that stuff is kind of whatever. Here's the companion. 13 plus your charisma modifier. That's pretty good. It's pretty nice. It's a little I wish the Beastmaster did something with decks. I don't know, it feels weird to benefit only wisdom based rangers with the Beastmaster. It's not like super mystical or magical like a Fey Wanderer sounds like super magical, but hey, whatever. HP, resistances, depending on Fiend Undead Celestial, has some immunities, Dark Vision, has a flying speed. Cool. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's attack based on your spell attack modifier, adding your charisma modifier, damage type based on what it is. Bonus actions, divine power once a day. Can manifest. Oh, I see. So it has a unique ability based on what it is. Cursed invocation. The Vestige places a curse on a creature within 30 feet. The target has disadvantage on attack rolls against you and the Vestige. Whoa, that's kind of sweet. Huh. Now, this is once a day. So you can kind of be led to a situation where you like hold on to it for so long that the day ends. But hey, at least you've got it. The Fiend, a fiendish swap. If you are within 60 feet of each other, you can swap places. Interesting. I think they all get fly speeds. So you can like put it up somewhere and then swap places with it maybe. The Celestial Healing Touch. Another creature gains hit points 2d8 plus charisma, and then a condition. For once a day, I feel like these first two have more uses, or like there are more niche situations where something like these two could be applicable. This last one is just healing, which doesn't feel like a once per day thing on the same level as these. Yeah, I don't know. Initial gut reaction. The magic of your companion. You have certain spells ready. Select one of the following cleric domains: life, light, trickery, or war. I'm gonna go war, dude. I don't know. I like war, but that would be more for like a melee thing. I don't know what these other ones necessarily do. So you get some cleric lists as a part of a warlock. Very cool, very cool. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of shenanigans with those two things. Obviously, you could multi-class if you wanted to, but that is pretty tough because clerics want wisdom. So this is another way to kind of get access to their spell list here. What level is that? This is all level 3. This entire page is level 3. That is wild. Okay. Level 6, a Vestige Recovery. Oh, it gets it back on a short rest. So potentially twice a day. Twice a day. Whenever you finish a long rest or when you use your magical cunning feature. What the heck is that? What is magical cunning? Is that on here? That's probably a warlock thing that I am too silly to know. All right. So potentially 3 times? 3 times a day? Can you use this once a day and then a short rest and then your original usage? I mean, I'm probably going with this first one then. If I can curse 3 different things, 3 different fights, one of the bigger, scarier things, I'm probably doing that. Let's see. Next up, level 10 Aura of Power. Magic action, you can cause the Vestige to have a 30-foot emanation. Last number of hours equal to your charisma hours. Huh. In the aura, gain resistance to all 3 of those: fire, necrotic, and radiant, and have immunity to charm and frighten. Once you manifest, you can't do. You're up here in the aura. You can change your hit points to a number equal to. Whoa! So you can give every ally. It's a 30-foot emanation. It lasts hours, and you get resistance to those 3 damage types and immunity to charmed and frightened. And if you're in the aura, you can't die once. Oh, and then so your dude kind of your little guy kind of just takes the hit for you in a way, but you don't die, which is kind of cool. Interesting. And then semblance of life, you're eventually going to grow depending on the vestige type. Then 90 feet of you without spending a spell slot or components. Summon, summon, summon. Oh, okay, so I'm assuming these are like much more powerful summons compared to your base Vestige. And then your Vestige becomes one of these more powerful versions. Game stats gets replaced. Um, that's kind of cool. I mean, you don't use a spell slot, you don't need components, you don't need anything. You just kind of do it once a day. You get an Omega summon. I'm assuming that this is pretty good. Nothing beyond level 14. Very interesting. I mean, there's definitely my limited understanding of Warlock definitely is hindering my super excitement for this, but it does seem really cool. Some very powerful effects here that you can use multiple times a day potentially. You have an aura where you can kind of help out your team and kind of come back to life one time. Uh, yeah, I mean, sounds like Warlock stuff. Sounds pretty cool. I probably would be more excited to learn how to play this type of character than the monk. But and I really like monks is the problem. Um, my favorite subclass, and I would like to try this probably next. A lot of this really depends on what my team wants to play. I like filling as a newer player. I like to fill the gaps where possible. Um, I would like to play a what is it, a Warrior of Mercy monk. They seem really cool. I came up with a whole backstory for one person, and even made like a homebrew, one of those like Plague Doctor mask type things. It's an item like that that he wears in combat. Um, yeah. Anyways, that subclass seems pretty fun, pretty cool, pretty useful, very dynamic. I'm sure somebody with a larger brain and much more experience will be able to make use of this monk subclass, but it just doesn't excite me. Doesn't feel like it's conveying the theme that they've described up here, like these other ones are. Paladin seems really, really cool. And even the rogue, as somebody who isn't a big like sneaky person, I don't like sneaking around and like that sort of place out. I am definitely more unga bunga brained. Um, I sort of run in. I like to control area with my like melee positioning and things like that, and like hit targets and defend allies and take damage, things like that. But I mean, there's some pretty cool stuff in here, and that's just me as a beginner reading through for the first time Unearthed Arcana here in the year 2026. Mystic subclasses, pretty cool stuff overall. It is nice that they, have this sort of thing that they send out. Um, I probably wouldn't provide feedback because I think playing it is the main thing, right? Seeing how it actually plays. I would definitely want to play the monk to see if it is as I think it is and not super exciting. Again, maybe multi-classing, yada yada. It makes it more interesting and compelling, and you can kind of build a whole theme around it to make it interesting. Even if mechanically it's not interesting, you can really just build out a backstory and a character that really aligns with this and really captures your imagination. But yeah, this has been a beginner's take on the Mystic subclasses. I don't remember a single thing I said other than Paladin cool, Rogue cool. Would love to try one of these out, one of those two out, probably in a campaign. Let me know if that means that this stuff would come out in like a magic themed campaign where it would make use of these characters, these subclasses, abilities more. And let me know which ones you've got, an itching to try out. What makes the most sense to you, and if there's any history with these Unearthed Arcana, right? I don't know how often they just don't release any of these. Maybe they cherry pick a couple. Let me know what your experience has been like with Unearthed Arcana, how they respond to feedback and stuff like that. Well, this has been Assume Control. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take care.